mountain is definitely out today. Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Seattle Bike Blog TV. Ooh, I have to bypass this traffic jam. Alright. Can't do this in a car. So your car can go 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, but it can't go through a parking lot, cut through to get around traffic. All right, in this episode, I am going to ramble about some random thoughts while I bike to pick up the kid from preschool. It is 2023, officially. It's a beautiful day out. So I just want to start off by saying that I have very high hopes for 2023. I think it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a really fascinating year on the blog. Probably the most interesting year for the blog since, I don't know, maybe since 2015. So that's pretty exciting. My book is due out. Just learned it's going to be hardcover. I was told it was going to be paperback initially, so I'm actually really excited about that. Hardcover books are, I don't know, they last longer on my shelf. Maybe I'm just not gentle enough with books, but hopefully that'll give them a longer shelf life. It's out for pre-order right now, which is kind of surreal. Right now it's at the designer who's going to put it all together, and then there will be another proofing stage, hopefully get rid of all of the spelling errors and typos. But yeah, the bulk of the content is in, which is pretty cool. So that's a big year for me personally. Also having the book, like the labor of the book, kind of out of the way of the blog should be really good for blog content. I have high hopes for reinvesting in the blog itself. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been some interesting developments in social media, specifically in Twitter, which I've invested a lot of time and energy into. The C Bike Blog Twitter account has a pretty good following, especially for a localized and niche account. It's got, well, it peaked at 15,000 followers. But that's down now ever since Elon Musk bought out the site and then made a lot of horrible decisions that sent people fleeing. So a lot of people have deleted their accounts. And even more people have, deleted the app, but have not technically deleted their accounts. So they're still counted as a follower, but I've noticed interactions have gone down a lot on posts that are not about Twitter, if that makes any sense. So it's like, instead of talking about all the things that we do in our daily lives and do for work and all that, Twitter became, for a while, a space where people just talked about Twitter, which is really annoying. But as a result, I kind of have been thinking a lot about how important it is for people to put their work into platforms they own, or at least platforms they're getting paid to work for. Whee! So, I don't think that Twitter and Mastodon or any sort of, I guess what would be called like microblogging service. Like, I don't have much expectation that I would be paid to do that kind of work, which is, I don't know, maybe simplistic in my view, but something like getting paid to do a YouTube video makes sense, which is ironic because I don't get paid to do YouTube videos. But you've created like a significant thing. There's lots of work went into creating a video that's really engaging, which is why Seattle Bike Blog YouTube videos are perhaps not as engaging as I'm still learning how to be a good editor and how to make things exciting. and if people want to keep watching. But this is why I'm really intrigued by the idea of Mastodon, maybe not even just Mastodon itself, but the principles it represents of this, a decentralized social media network in which, it can be designed and owned by people for whatever reasons that they want, but that moderation is handled by smaller communities that are trying to create, kind of localized social networks to achieve whatever goals they share with their members, hopefully. Like, I don't think that maybe microblogging ever needed to be a monetized thing exactly. Like, Twitter has struggled throughout its entire existence to make ad revenue, especially commensurate with other platforms that had like similar user bases or even smaller user bases. It's just sort of a format that's resistant to being monetized, and any effort to monetize it has always been like kind of annoying and unsuccessful. At least unsuccessful on the scale that Twitter and its shareholders wanted it to be. It's a way to like spread your work and talk to people about your work, and it's not itself like the end goal. Or maybe it shouldn't be. I think that I put a lot of my work on the bike blog straight into the Twitter account because it seemed to be what was getting the most traction. And I'm not gonna say that was a mistake, but I think now the idea of me working and the only person who's making any money off of it is Elon Musk, though making money off of it is perhaps not the right way to phrase it. So I'm pretty sure he's losing a lot of money, but advertisements sold that go into, I guess making Elon Musk's losses less bad. This is not very motivating for me. I would rather that money go to me so that I can keep doing this. Because of that, I've sort of reinvested myself into the blog itself as a place for posting everything, not just really long form things, but also like smaller thoughts or, kind of like a excerpt style post where, if I read something really good that, Ryan Packer wrote for The Urbanist, that I can, which happens, a couple times a day, it seems, I can point people to it through the blog. I don't know, I think it makes the blog a little more useful as a resource of its own. That makes the blog feel a little bit more alive. It also kind of collects the work I'm doing, which is in part reading other people's work and sharing it or commenting on it. It collects that into a space that is actually owned by me, by Seattle Bike Blog LLC, which is a one-person LLC. That's important to me, I guess. It also has kind of reinvigorated me to try to reboot the business. Get the advertisers to come back. My advertising stable got decimated during COVID, the initial 2020 kind of lockdown era of COVID. And, I was working on my book all the time, and I never really rebuilt the business. I just kind of let it languish. I've been very appreciative of the advertisers who've stayed, but also, that's a part of the business that I actually need to actively be working on to build, because people don't just come out of the woodwork to take out ads all the time. Every once in a while it happens, but it's rare. I need to actually be reaching out to people and selling. In the end, my job is ad salesperson, I guess. Reader subscriber salesperson. That's grim. It's grim to think about it that way. So I think what you can expect from Seattle Bike Blog is a lot more posts, a lot more regularly, a lot more public events, largely to promote the book, but who knows what else. Hopefully more videos, more regularly. But I kind of like this format. Like, I enjoy talking to myself, I guess. Talking to you all. I enjoy talking to you all while I bike around the city. I think there's a lot of potential in this. I also do it every day. So there we have a blinker that's not real. So previously we had a blinker, someone turn, even though their blinker was not on, and expected me to just know they were trying to turn, when there's no way for me to know that they were going to turn. And now we have someone who's just left their blinker on, but they're not actually turning. I don't know, man. Have people gotten worse at driving? Like all those funding cuts to driver's ed, like is it finally coming through? I don't know. Oh my God, it's not funny, but what can you do? It's too depressing. Sometimes you laugh. You laugh so that you don't cry. But beyond the blog itself, I think the next year or two are going to be extremely pivotal. The city, under Mayor Durkin, and then in its many periods where there was no director at SDOT, sort of punted on all of the potentially controversial work that was funded by the voter-approved Move Seattle levy back in 2015. The levy is a law essentially passed by voters requiring the city to do this work. And now there's all these bike lanes that are backlogged that they have 2 years to complete. We're poised to have just this ridiculous kind of rush of bike lanes, like all at once, all really quickly. It'll be interesting to see how the mayor's office and SDOT, what they're able to accomplish, because they've certainly been tasked with a lot. It could be really great, but we're gonna have to stay on top of everything, be extremely attentive to a lot of projects all at once, which, well, for Seattle Bike Blog means we got a lot of work ahead of us. So stay tuned. But the city also has to put together its transportation plan, basically the framework they're going to use to craft the next transportation funding effort to replace the Move Seattle levy, which expires at the end of 2024. So that means in 2024, very likely, voters will be asked to vote on another something, probably a property tax levy, but who knows what it will turn into. Like the city technically has, other options it could go to. That's potentially a $1 billion vote. We'll see how big it goes. The New Seattle levy was $1 billion over 9 years, so I can't imagine supporting much less than that this time around. And I think a lot of people will feel the same way. It's not exactly like we've accomplished too much in the past 9 years that we need to scale back all the accomplishing that we've done. That's not it at all. We've got failing bridges that are going to need to be addressed in some way, and it's going to take funding for us to figure out what that way is. We've got a under-delivered Vision Zero action plan. We've got an under-delivered bicycle master plan, a hopelessly underfunded pedestrian master plan. Bus routes are facing shortages, which isn't exactly something that would be funded by this levy, but it could fund, transit infrastructure, which is relevant. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be around for developing that kind of work, to get to really do the creating and the visioning of what that levy looks like. It'll be interesting. There's nothing is guaranteed. We went pretty hard for Lorena Gonzalez in the mayoral race, and she lost quite handedly to Bruce Harrell. It was not close, and transportation was oddly not a huge topic of discussion during that campaign, even though it definitely should have been. Bruce Harrell gave one really bad quote during the King 5 debate. He said, "I'm not going to lead with bikes." He kind of scoffed at the idea that his transportation efforts would lead with bikes. But now he's mayor, and he's inherited a work plan for SDOT that all but requires the city to build a ton of bike lanes under his leadership. And he has to put together a transportation levy or package of some kind to replace the Move Seattle levy. And the reality is, like, the Safe Streets people are extremely motivated. I think passing such a levy would be quite difficult without their support, without their work. Safe Streets advocates are going to be out there. They're the ones that are going to go knock on doors and staff your phone banks and get out the vote and spread the word and do all that hard work of campaigning that's required to like pass a levy citywide. And I think they're not going to do that unless it's exciting. I guess I take the hiring Greg Spots as SF director as a sign that the Herald administration is prepared to build those bike lanes and put together a plan that does put safety and biking at least as a priority. But we will see. That has yet to be tested, but I am hopeful. I'm hopeful for what that means. And I think like an amenable process of developing that package and then passing it, in which we're all on the same team, is its most likely path to success, put it that way. Scaling back the safety efforts, I don't think will actually work well. So yeah, I'm feeling very positive. I'm in a good mood. Good things are ahead. I know it. I can feel it.